So one of the things that really surprised me about the show is this is more violent than I expected. Thumbs up. But believe me. So it's more like Netflix than Disney Plus, which I'm all in on that. So can you sort of talk about the aspect that it's a more mature version of a Marvel show?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think everything sort of stemmed first and foremost from the story, right? Like we knew we wanted to tell a story about Maya Lopez that was, it was always going to be a little more grounded, a little more gritty on the gritty side, a little more street level. But to me, the most interesting aspect about the character is that in Hawkeye, she is a villain. And in the conversations with Marvel early on, the response was like, let's lean into that. Let's see if we can push the envelope. Let's see how far down that rabbit hole we can go and take that character. And, I think for me, one of the most fascinating things to ask myself was like, how does a deaf indigenous girl from Oklahoma become a top-ranking lieutenant in Kingpin's army? And so that as a jumping-off point sort of lent itself to the tone, which is because we're telling something that's a little more intimate, and because there are real-world consequences, that means that people die, people get killed, people bleed, bones break. Spoilers for Echo, but sure. Bones get broken, and so all of that sort of came about naturally. Like it wasn't, we didn't necessarily have a conversation of like, oh, do we want to do Netflix or Disney Plus? It was just, I would say it was Marvel giving us the creative freedom to try to tell the best story possible.
So I'm fascinated by the editing process because it's where it all comes together. So how did Echo change in the editing room in ways that you guys did not expect?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I will say Marvel is positively fearless when it comes to storytelling. And that applies to the edit process. I've been able to work on, TV shows and there are shows I've worked on that are, you shoot what's on the page and you do not deviate from that. And so in this case, we shot our episodes and we put the episodes together and then my collaborators, and the Marvel executives and everything, and then we got in and we proceeded to sort of just try stuff and blow stuff up and really explore different story permutations. So how much did it change? It changed quite a bit.
Did you end up with like a lot of deleted scenes? Did things really radically change? Like, you know what I mean? Like I like learning about, okay, it was originally going to be this, but now it's this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Things change and they always do. It's interesting. Like every project that I've been able to both write, direct, and edit on, it's very, you go through this interesting sort of evolution. Like what's the expression? You have 3 rewrites, right? It's the script, it's the production, and it's post. And so with this, we had the scripts and I was like, oh, this is the story. There is no fat on these things. This is going to be 1-to-1, and you get in and you shoot it and things change and you're open to inspiration that comes about on the day. And then you make little tweaks and adjustments, and in some cases, massive adjustments, where we had to, again, like just shooting in the time of COVID, there were circumstances where we had to rewrite on the fly. And then I think, and then in the edit too, as well too, then it was looking at like, hey, what tells the best possible story? And it was, we would just pull at threads here, pull at threads there, try rearranging stuff. And everything just sort of came about organically. But it was, massive difference from the beginning to the end.
So no spoilers, but when I was watching the first 3 episodes, episode 3 ends with, I'm just going to say, I'll save this or whatever, but episode 3 ends with Kingpin. And Kingpin has an eye patch. And I think I noticed possibly some tech underneath the bandage, but you don't really see it. Is there anything you want to tease about any sort of tech?
I will say any tech in our show is in line with our theme and our tone, which is grounded, street level, lo-fi.
Got it. One of the things that's really cool is this is under the Spotlight umbrella, and which is awesome. And can you sort of talk about what that means for people that don't know, and maybe what you're excited for Marvel, what you're excited as a fan for Marvel to be able to do?
Yeah, I think there's a tremendous amount of freedom that comes with the Spotlight banner, right? So the Spotlight means you don't have to have seen 23 other MCU films or have seen like 6 other series before this. And we want specifically to invite people in who don't have that familiarity, and hopefully they can come in and watch our show and our series and just jump right in from the beginning. But on the same token, viewers who are familiar with the MCU will, in multiple episodes, will see characters that they recognize from other films and series as well too. So hopefully it's the best of both worlds.
With streaming, you really don't have like a mandate for runtime. So I'm just curious, was everyone sort of like, we want the episodes to be about 40 minutes, or you know what I mean? Like, how did you guys decide ultimately how long the episodes would be? Yeah,
again, it's so interesting because it was a very organic process, I think what is a network hour long? It's like 42 minutes, something like that.
Well, it also depends on, it could be somewhere around there.
Let's say 42. Yeah. Let's say 42 minutes. And it wasn't our intent, but our run times for our episodes ended up being around that. So it was this, I wish I could say it was intentional, but it was sort of a happy accident.
Last question for you. You see the shooting schedule. What is the thing you have circled in terms of, I cannot wait to film this, or, oh my God, how are we going to film this?
Oh, wow. It's interesting because I would say the thing that I was both excited and terrified to shoot was the ASL, right? Because, going into the process, you ask yourself the question, like, how can we sustain a 3, 4, 5, 6 minute conversation between a character or multiple characters who don't speak? And so that was a big question for myself going in. And then with my cinematographer, we figured, how do we do this? How do we go about this? Can we even do this? And the answer is yes. And I'll say, one of, if not my favorite scenes in the entire series, without spoiling it, is a scene between two characters where not a single word is spoken for multiple minutes. And it brings me to tears every time I see it.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that. In some of anyway, I won't say specifically. Congrats. Really hope it's a huge hit for you guys. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.